Hello, Thursday. Let's continue at the beginning here with the farce that is Europe. Rajoy, he's the Spanish boss, battles ECB for loans. Monti appeals for EU action. Spain and Italy appeal to European policymakers to step up their responses to the financial crisis after a €100 billion lifeline for Spanish banks failed to calm the markets. Ha 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 ha. Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy said today he'll battle, translation that'll be, but battle, central bankers refusing to buy debt from peripheral nations. Independent central bankers. Rajoy published a letter to European Union leaders calling for the European Central Bank to buy debt from the countries struggling to shore up their finances. The peripheral countries, he says the ECB should just buy their debt, which they are doing to a little nibbly extent. We want free money, or we want the free money. Right, let's go on to the next bit, which is slightly comical. This from yesterday, my yesterday 13th. Deutsche Börse. EU Commission. No decision on maturity of Eurozone loans to Spain. This is the official version on Wednesday of what was going on. Remember, the bailout was Saturday. No decision has been taken on the maturity of the Eurozone loans to aid Spanish banks, and talks on the subject have not begun as Spain has yet to formally request assistance, the European Commission said on Wednesday. Nothing has been decided. There hasn't even been a discussion, in fact. No decision was taken on the loan maturity period, a spokesman for the Commission said at a regular briefing. The issue, along with others such as what conditions to impose on Spanish banks, would be addressed in the memorandum that Spain will eventually have to sign once it has made the formal request for aid, the spokesman said. They haven't actually even asked for the aid yet. What they have asked for was, if we happen to ask for aid, would the money be made available? And they kind of said, yes, we will make 100 billion euros available to you. That is as far as they've got. No details. And this is the speed that Euro area things happen at, which is a very good speed when dealing with huge, complicated things. It is a good speed. But the politician, not nearly quick enough for the politicians. And presumably Rajoy thought that as soon as he got the agreement that he would be able to borrow, as he called it, the credit line of 100 billion, everyone would go, that's fine then, and everything would be fine. But it wasn't. Anyway, let's move on. France seeks Eurozone stability package. France is pressing the EU to adopt a financial stability package. Always come up with these stupid names, don't they? You can't have a crappy political idea without some whiz kid coming up with a fancy name. Financial stability package to stem the Eurozone crisis. A bit of magic. Believing negative market reaction to the 100 billion bailout of Spain's banks, which obviously isn't, yet potential, shows the need for more comprehensive action. Well, that didn't work. What are we going to do now? Ahead of the EU summit due on June 28th, Paris is set to propose a package of measures to put the European Central Bank in charge of supervision, bank supervision. See, this is not a bad idea. Put the ECB, the European Central Bank, in charge of the banks. So if the banks go wrong, they'll feel a bit obliged to do something about it. But to use the European Stability Mechanism, the ESM, the new 500 billion Eurozone rescue fund due to come into force next month to recapitalise banks directly. Now, we know that that is not a 500 billion Eurozone rescue fund. It's a we'll pay in 16 billion, 16 billion, and by the end of 2014 we will have paid in 80 billion of dry cleaning tickets into it. And the whiz kids, leave it to them, they'll sort it out, will leverage that up, whatever that means, to 500 billion. It means that the market will somehow add the extra 420 billion to make the package of 500 billion for the ESM by the end of 2014. And that money is to recapitalise banks directly, according to the French chappie and the Spanish chappie. The Germans will fight against this because it's a shitty idea, but they wouldn't secretly mind it if the market came in with this 420 billion and recapitalised the German, French and Spanish banks. Except that's not nearly enough money, is it? 420, 500 billion. No, it's not. That's the problem. And who are these market 420 billion people going to be, knowing that the money is going to go to recapitalise the banks, no bail-ins, bail-outs, equity buying of the banks, which the equity holders will fizzle their little way out of the back door, and the bondholders will slowly be paid off until all the bondholders are effectively gone, just like in Ireland, and then the rest are just holding the baby of all the banking crap, and they'll find that they've been completely and utterly stitched up. So that's the market is going to stitch itself up. I think not. I think they'd be well struggling to get that market 420 billion. All of this is always the same thing. These politicians thinking, we must be able to get some free money from somewhere to bail us out and to bail our horrid, nasty little banks out. But there isn't any free money unless the central bank says, all right, I'll print up the free money. And at the moment, in Europe, the European Central Bank is sticking to the rules and saying, our charter is not to do that sort of thing. Right, that's enough of them. Idiots that they are. Let's go to the United States of America. Total credit market debt. Now, I've cut off the bottom of this chart because it goes down a long, long way. But it goes back to 1952. And this is money. So it's hard to really work out. Percentages is obviously better. But these are trillions of dollars. 1952, total credit market debt was effectively zero plus a little in 1952. And it's done that exponential whizzo-uppo all the way to, what was that, 2007. Then it fell down, and now it's starting to go up again slightly. And as we know from old charts, that going uppiness is basically the United States federal government and a bit of local government. Although they're letting people go, they're still taking on more debt. But the private public are coming down slightly. The big question is the cat going to demand to come in here? Yes, probably. Right. Is that going to go following that sort of trend, uppiness, up into more trillions, 50, 80, 100 trillion? Again, if the central bank prints trillions and trillions of monies and gets it out there somehow, then yes, it might go up and other things will happen. But if that doesn't go up, all those debts hanging out there at a set amount are going to be severely in trouble. Right. United States and their motor cars, maybe the last American dream. The average fuel economy of vehicles sold in May increased compared with a year earlier. Let's go down to the bottom. The latest result is up from 21.9 miles per gallon in May, but down slightly, blah, blah. The numbers suggest a growing proportion of consumers, that's you, American people, your consumers, are buying larger vehicles with lower gas mileage as gasoline prices continue to fall. Marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. Is it the last bastion? Is it the last thing? The Americans will never give up our divine right to drive ridiculously large vehicles that you have to stop everything to pour huge amounts of juice into. Bless. Right. overall picture of all the things I've just done: industrial production, euro area, and the US. You can see the shape of it from 2003, the great drop down in the Great Recession, and the struggle back up. Now, the numbers at the far right there are 102 and 108 for 102 for United States, 98 for euro area. Now, this is zeroed in 2005 at 100. So 2005 it was 100. So 2005 the US is a little bit up and Europe's a little bit down. With the extra cheapness of fuel, like that's driving the nice American people to buy big cars again, the United States might be able to stay at blah. Might drop down from blah plus, but it might hold on to blah. But the Europeans have got just about nothing going for them, and that little edging down is a nasty little edging down. Falling down nice and quickly like it did in a Great Recession is sometimes the better thing to do, because you get it over and done with and you come down. But it's just a relentless kind of nibbling away and driving downness in Europe, and the rest of the world is basically on its way down as well. There's no area that in the world that's really booming. Well, nothing worth talking about anyway. So I think the United States might be able to hold on for a little while because of its cheap fuel that it's getting at the moment, but the relentless drag will come in from the rest of the world that isn't doing that great at all. And areas like Europe that aren't doing well should just continue to decrease any output and production that they're doing, because there's absolutely no reason that it should increase. So it won't increase. It won't even hold on because the rest of the world isn't booming. It will decrease. And it's going to add to the problems and the desire of the politicians to find free money from somewhere. That's it.